Whether you prefer all of your RPG media to be that came from trees or to be made of little digital microbes shooting through the internet that Al Gore so graciously invented, we're here at Fireball the Gazebo to join you on your RPG journey. Vince, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm not sure that's how either of those things work, but I get what you're going for.
Yeah, that is exactly. I checked Wikipedia prior to this episode, and that's what they told me.
I understand. Well, the internet is never wrong, as we know.
Yes.
I myself prefer the dead tree variety. There is something to a physical book or box or whatever, and having it in your hand and fiddling with the paper. There's a tactile nature to it.
Yeah, and that just might make us old men, but I like to think of nature as my enemy, and then I'm using the corpses of my foes to gather all of my wisdom upon.
That's right.
Right. So
I grow stronger through your destruction. That's correct.
Which is kind of antithetical to today's topic, which is about bringing in all the best parts of nature and the fuzzy furry creatures into our games. But that, they're fauna, not flora, right?
Well, we're going to talk about pets in general. Yes. Some are fuzzy animals. Some might be like your squire or your helpful, lieutenant or something following you around.
Yes.
Might be a horde of skeletons. You never know.
Yes,
just the bones, please. Could be a lot of things.
It could be Groot, and then we're back at trees. So
that's right.
We got a couple things we want to chat about a little bit before we get into the good stuff here. But this is the good stuff before the good stuff. This is like when you eat the dessert before you eat your meal. And then you eat more dessert after your meal. I know you're not a dessert guy, Vince, but everybody else knows what I'm talking about. Let's talk about something that we totally spaced on in the last episode, and that's our fun little story from Nova. Now, when we were at Nova, it is not an RPG convention. It's a miniature hobby and gaming convention, and they
do have an RPG floor, though I never went up there.
I know they do, and I meant to. I made a note to myself. I even looked at it on the schedule, what kinds of things were being played. I saw Oscar Lars was running a game, and I was pissed that I would like to have gone sit in on that. But when I was going through the vendor hall on like the first day, I noticed there was like a local game store that had like all their wares there. And in there, they had a bunch of nice condition used second edition modules and different accessory books. And I was like, I need to make sure I tell Vince about this to see if any of these he is missing. Fast forward 24 hours. I was looking for you on the show floor. You simply texted me. We're at the vendor area. And where do I find you? Exactly at that booth in front of those second edition modules with your phone pulled up, checking prices. So, Vince, what did you find? Anything good?
Yeah, correct. So they had, I wouldn't say they had a lot, but they did have some second edition box sets and books and stuff, which I'm always interested in. It's never enough because I need, we've got to go deep. I've got, a lot of the normal stuff covered. So I'm looking for the obscura, as it were.
Yeah.
But they did have it. It was a little more expensive than I wanted, but I thought, well, let me check prices. So then that got me down an eBay rabbit hole, standing there in the other people's shop. And unfortunately for them, on eBay, there was someone who had a very nice copy with everything still included and some extra bonus maps. And I was able to make them an offer and come in way cheaper than what it would have been had I bought it right there. And John, let me tell you, as of this recording, that box has already arrived at my house in great condition. The person did a wonderful job. And I was reading the book last night. It was the Lands of Intrigue box, which covers and Tethir in the Forgotten Realms.
Wow, this story really came full circle. We came all the way around to the conclusion. It's like a journey that all the Gazeboys got to go on with us. And it was good. We did a little make an offer on the YouTube. On the eBay auction, back and forth, found it, got there.
Yeah, my point is, if you're going to have something there in person, you can't price it as such that I can just bring out my phone, look and see that you're $40 above market and expect me to buy it. I do not understand people who price things in person at a store at prices that are just like so far above market price. Like you have eBay. You have access to the internet when you put price stickers on things. Look and understand where you are, because why would I pay for your Why would I pay the extra? It does not make sense.
Yeah, I mean, we have the phone in our pocket, we can immediately check at any time. And I get like there is a sheer amount of like physical labor involved in when you price it. How often do you recheck your pricing of your secondary market items? But in general, I got to imagine the recent sold prices for a product like that price range probably don't change much over a 1 to 3 year span, you know?
Yeah, not for very old stuff like that. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and
It's
I think
it's relatively stable.
they had it listed at $150.
Yeah.
And I think you got yours around 110 plus some shipping or something.
Correct. Yeah, 110, yeah.
That's a pretty big price difference,
It is.
right? I guess they priced it like right after the COVID, everyone's at home and goes back to their nostalgic hobbies phase.
I guess.
Yeah. And it was like early 2022, mid 2021, and everything was at its peak. And they haven't looked at it since. But anyway.
But yes, it's another box down in my ongoing journey to have every second edition Dungeons and Dragons, probably an advanced Dungeons and Dragons product, basically, as well. So AD&D and AD&D second product made for the Forgotten Realms. Every box, every book, everything. That's what I'm trying to get.
You have to expand your library shelves, Vince. I think.
Well, there's a lot of them. Yeah, you're not wrong. But I'm trying to find all information and lore related to Ed Greenwood's most wonderful creation here. So,
are you using any of that as you start planning for your upcoming marathon game I'm hearing about?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that. Yes, my story. What a wonderful segue. A+.
Let's do it again.
So about 3 times a year we do marathon games. We'll have to do a whole show on this in the future because I think people would find this instructive, especially if they find it hard to do a weekly game. And but at any rate, this is where we get together and play D&D for like 14 hours a day for 3-4 days straight. And usually around holidays and stuff like that.
Sure.
So we're my buddy is running this. He is also I've got him back on board fully for second edition.
Oh boy.
So we're running it in second edition. We're back, baby. We're back. I'm gonna get to play in this thing.
There are literally dozens of us. Yeah.
So sure. And I don't care as long as my group's on board.
True,
I can do it forever. I need no more than the 8 people who show up at my house every week. We can be the last 8 humans on Earth who want to play it. I don't care. It's fine.
Sure. Okay.
In fact, that would be better because then I'll tell you what, if we were the last 8 people that really cared, the prices on all that stuff would get a lot cheaper.
That's true. Okay.
So I call that win-win.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, so it became time to plot and plan out character options.
Okay.
Right. And this is another thing that I did add this into our future topic discussion because I want to do a whole show on methodologies of character creation. And I don't mean rolling dice.
Sure.
Okay. So the way we do it, the way that this GM is doing it for this one, but it's a pretty common way that a lot of the GMs who are in our group do it, is they start by having everybody pitch them 2 ideas. It should be short, like a paragraph, 100 words max. Okay. Which is not a lot of words.
No, it's not. It's like 3 sentences, 4 sentences.
Correct. Exactly. And so you have to give 2 character ideas. So like, I want to try this or this. And it shouldn't, like, you can have some of the gamey stuff in there. Like, I want to be a half-orc cleric or something.
Yeah.
Right. Like, whatever. That's fine. But like, you're really talking about like who you are and what you do and what your point in the game world is. The GM is running it we're setting the game in Calimport in Calimshan. Do you know this area of the world of the Forgotten Realms?
No. I think I have
a
game there, but it was 20 years ago. But yes.
Sure. Think of it. Well, first of all, they're reintroducing it here in a couple months, which I am shocked about.
I will be
in the new Forgotten Realms expansion that's coming out. It is one of the like 5 locations they're going to detail, which shocks me because I did not think we were going back to this place. So it's sort of the Middle Eastern equivalent, is what I would say.
All right.
Think like Aladdin, right? But way more slavery.
Oh.
Well. Okay. Like a lot more. And it's a pretty awful place, to be honest. It's quite dystopian. And so, yeah, it's what are the roles we're doing within that? And so we each pitch them 2 character ideas within that space, like people who belong in that world, in that area, who have a reason to be there. You could be from somewhere else in the realms or whatever, but why are you there?
Sure.
And then he assembles a party out of that as to what he thinks is going to be a good party. Like we'll have people having interesting interactions with each other, and then we develop then the one that the GM chooses.
Got it.
That makes sense?
Yes, that does make sense. Okay. All right. That sounds like fun. Like you have to you can't go all in on one thing. You're just but you're excited about interesting concepts knowing that you may not play either one of them.
Yeah, you got to find 2 interesting concepts,
Mm-hmm.
right? Things you'd be happy about. And then you develop from there. But the advantage is what we've found, because we've had some games where we really, really had lightning in a bottle. Like, I mean, the role playing was deep, the character experience was robust, and so on and so forth. Like people move to tears in moments throughout the games, right? And we're always trying to make sure that happens, where you have this like deep emotional experience. But to do that, you've got to have the right characters in the mix. And it's not just about what each person's playing, it's about how those things bounce off of each other.
Okay.
So that's why we started taking more of a hand, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that way we can sort of help synthesize a great party.
And you're going to be in a very short span of real world time telling a pretty in-depth story. And
right.
So you kind of have to get to it and have a party that gels as much as you can prepare that to gel.
Correct.
Ahead of time.
You want to be rocking from the get. Yeah. Because then we've got, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of play. If you're talking about 4 days of 14 hours a day, that's not, or sure, you're talking about like 50, 55, 56 hours of play there. And which is the equivalent of like 10 normal games or 11 or 12 normal games of a session, depending on how long you actually play during your weekly session. Mm-hmm. But still, you don't want to waste a lot of time sitting around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
you want to be off to the races, which got us thinking about maybe we bring in a little optional segment of talking about some character hooks and throwing out some character hooks for people.
Yeah.
So, John, you want to talk about so let's because people, I think character hooks can be a struggle. And by the way, in my estimation, when you start from rules, like when you just start there and go that class or race or whatever prestige class or anything looks interesting, I want to play that. That's not the word place you want to start. You want to start with the meat, the hook, the story, the juice
part. Yeah, and my hook today could go many different ways in terms of which kind of class you wanted to play with it. But
I like it.
My character is a starving artist that really has no tangible skills of any value in the working world, and they have to support their elderly aunt, the only family left for them. And that aunt gives them a roof to lay their head at night, and they try to bring in just enough money to be able to feed themselves and such. Now, through their work on the street and trying to sell their art and sketches or baubles or anything that they try to create from nothing, typically on a busy area of the road where more wealthy people or merchants would come through that would actually have the coin to buy such. You've discovered first, almost happenstance, that your work, a little spark or a little flame or a little wink of the character's eye, happens as you were creating the art. You realize through a series of events you can unfold as you flesh out this character that you have some kind of innate arcane power that is only called forth when you bring forth the muse. So,
nice.
Where does this lead you? And are you a bard that, instead of playing music, portrays your stories and your impact to the world through visual arts? Are you a sorcerer that, in order to manifest your magical powers, you must first create a physical piece of art in the world to call forth? And perhaps with the flame spell, it makes that piece of paper or parchment that you've drawn it on cast into flame, and it casts out your spell, or something entirely different.
Isn't there like a series of kid stories about something like this, like the dude with the purple crayon? Isn't that a thing or something?
Oh, I haven't heard of that, but I probably stole it
All right.
from there.
Gazebo boys, I don't think I'm insane here, right? There's some kind of kid story. If you have children, I don't have children. I just think this is a thing.
Right.
I think there's some kid who's like, he can make magical things come to life when he draws them with his magical purple crayon. I think this is a thing. But anyways, yes, I love that idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Changes, reframes the whole character. I love reframing magic
Yeah.
in different sort of manifestation methodologies, right? It's great. It's great.
And I like to have just a touch of the like who they are as a human outside of what makes them unique of the your only family is elderly aunt. That's who you're able to live with. You don't have a regular job, but you have a place to stay because of that. And now you have a character relationship built in. What happens? What is the catalyst for you going out on an adventure or being pushed in a difficult situation? We've got one bond already there that helps lead into
Absolutely.
who we are. So
for me, I'm going to share one of my concepts that I actually submitted because I think it's a fun one. So obviously, and this is one for I think it's fun for like darker worlds. So, but you have to it has to be the right kind of thing. So, anyways, I mentioned this place is bad and has slavery and stuff like that. It's part of their society. It's not great. It's not great. It has like corrupt rulers and all of that sort of thing. Everything you'd want in a sort of dystopian kind of setting, right? So the character that one of the two characters that I recommended to bring into it, or I put forth, is a sort of we'll call him a gunslinger of sorts. Okay. So first of all, we're going to bring in firearms. So you got to be comfortable with firearms in your in your fantasy role-playing game, which I am.
Sure.
I don't care. That seems fine enough to me. And the whole, but I'm using them in a good way. So there's the old statement that like God made man and woman, but Smith and Wesson made them equal. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a great quote.
Sure. So the character has a similar saw, right? Because my character's the pitch is a freedom fighter, like somebody who's trying to topple the current hierarchies and bring down the ruling class. And so the statement here is God made all peoples, but flintlocks make them equal, right? And that's the point. Like they're just rulers, they're just men, they bleed all the same, and these things prove it, right? And that's it. Just like, and he'd have a sort of like I think the affect would be very Doc Holiday kind of thing, if that makes sense.
I'll be your
I've got 2 guns, one for each of you. That kind of guy.
Right.
And I just think playing like I think having that take on it and playing somebody who's sort of fighting against the system, probably fruitlessly, but who cares? And is willing to like sort of use more than happy to use violence to affect those ends fits well in a fantasy setting like that. Because certainly the bad rulers are willing to use like magic and violence to suppress their people. So I say fight back. Topple the evil systems. So that's the character. Well, there you go.
I like it, and it makes immediately like makes me jump to either an adjacent or this character itself. When you talk about Doc Holliday, it makes me think of a really fun foundational aspect of a character design, and that is the Doc Holliday / Raceland type of character. The only thing that holds them back is the frailty of their current mortal coil. If they were at their prime, you wouldn't stand a chance. So what if your character at level 1 is a level 20 wizard? However, due to his suffering from consumption or the plague or syphilis, I don't know, whatever, right? But you can only draw on so much of your stores, right? And then like you have these moments and they can be played out at the table when you have amazing rolls or you have a great idea and you do really well in combat, and it's just like he just coughs and suddenly his sweat breaks, his eyes go cold, and you're like, oh shit, he's feeling good today. Right?
No, I love stuff like that. Absolutely. For this character, it was I believe, given how my stats worked out, because we do roll for stats. Again, future episode. Don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah.
But I believe I'm going to put a very low stat into that I rolled into wisdom, which I love.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready to make some bad decisions, son. That's what's going to happen there.
That's what we're here for.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
Like this character feels like it'd be great to make bad decisions with.
If they come with it with a certain level of swagger and fun and confidence.
Correct.
That's all that matters, right?
This character is very confident in themselves, right? And in what they're doing. But like, boy, are they going to get themselves into trouble. So hopefully in all the best ways.
Right. That's why we're doing this in a role-playing game, because, we often have to make the boring decisions in life. But not when we're playing our games. This is where we get to push it at the edges and see what happens. I love it. That was fun. We should do this again more. I mean, you had something in your back pocket. You said we should do this, and I said, give me 30 seconds. So maybe I could. I still like mine. I kind of want to make that character. So, but this is really fun. It's fun to kind of press yourself and just completely remove game system, completely remove character class, or whatever. Just what is a 4-sentence story? What's that? 100 words.
100 words.
Right.
It's the magic number.
Vince, do we have any interesting news you want to share with everybody, including me?
I do. Let's move into a little bit of news. So, a little bit of news number one. I know you're an old Pathfinder person.
I am.
Is Pathfinder is getting Monster Core 2. With more monster.
What?
I know, right? So it's like 376 pages, got more than 300 new monsters in there, bringing back a lot of old favorites from earlier in Pathfinder's run, going like way back. Like I know the Dweomer cat's in there, and a lot of people are fans of the little Dweomer cat and stuff like that. But their pitch is like peasants to gods or something, like just crazy run and sweep of stuff in there. It's on pre-order right now, so for release later in the year. So yeah. I love monster manuals. We talked about them actually a little bit last time we recorded as well. I think monster manuals are really fun. It was one of the things I loved to read the most when I was younger. I would just like flip through the monster manual and think about how neat these monsters are and what their lives are like and where PCs would meet them. Right.
Yeah. Because they live lives too, as NPCs, right?
Right.
They live lives too.
Yeah.
Those cockatrices.
What does this thing do in its off time, right? When the camera's not on it because the PCs wander near it, what's it doing?
Yeah, those cockatrices from last episode, they were in front of this old wizard tower abandoned. Like, that's where they raise their family, They're
just hanging out.
Protected.
They go out, they grab little spiders, bring them in. Yeah.
Like, you done ruined their day, you weird ghost man flowing in here. I'm going to peck you.
Yeah, you're the one. It's their home.
Yeah.
You're the one who's the invader.
Isn't that kind of the trope of D&D? It's always the thing from like the Elder Scrolls games, the open sandbox RPGs, where you just like walk into random people's houses and just like go through the shit on their tables. You're like, hey, dude, you're the bad guy in this story. You don't realize that, do you?
Yeah. Yes. The joke of being it's like a lot of home invasion, murder, and theft being the primary sort of directives, basically, of most of the PCs.
But trust us, it's for the greater good.
Yeah, we're the good guys.
Yeah, we're the good guys.
Now give us your stuff.
Are they looking? Are they in the other room? I take the apple.
Right. It's totally fine.
All right. You got something
All
about
right. So that's
Pendragon.
first bit of news. Yes, Pendragon. So are you familiar with Pendragon, the role-playing game originally released in 1985?
I am familiar with Sir Uther Pendragon, but not the game Pendragon.
Well, you have the right idea then, because Pendragon is the game of chivalric Arthurian role-playing, introduced back in 1985. And I loved it. I played it a little bit back in the basically early 90s. It is a very fascinating game. What was neat about it was, one, I've always loved Arthurian legend and that kind of thing. One of the other ideas I threw at John for today's show was it here? In fact, I'm just going to Gazeboids, help me out here. I want to do a show about historical role playing or using historical sources for inspiration. Okay. So like playing in Edo period Japan, Musketeer France, Arthurian England, so on and so forth. And John was like, that sounds boring.
I'm not saying it's not a boring conversation. I think we can make it an interesting conversation. I can learn some things and I can share some things. I just don't know how much tangible takeaway the average Gazeboid is going to be able to grab from this and want to play those games. Not that you couldn't take things from those conversations and add them to your fantasy role-playing sessions. I'm just not thinking we're going to have a lot of, whatever in real history RPG games going on.
We will let the Gazeboids decide.
Right,
you
let us know. Please.
All right.
Tell me how right
Tell us
I
if that's
am.
a show you want to see us do.
Or you want to hear us talk about it, fully aware that you have no intention of playing those games.
Which is also fine.
It's also fine.
At any rate, Pendragon was a sort of an Arthurian role-playing game.
Okay.
What was neat about Pendragon, amongst many things, so like there's lots of cool things about the game, but to me, the thing that always stood out and that I remember most is it introduced generational role playing. So what I mean by that is like you weren't just playing a character, okay? You were playing a character, and then that character would have a family line, and you would then pick up and play your son or daughter, and then their son or daughter. Like I think usually most of the games I think the games I played, we went like 3 generations, basically.
Okay.
And so yeah, it was just a neat concept of that, like, you know, your character left a legacy in the world, and you continue on playing the next generation, right? And so on and so forth.
That's cool.
So,
I don't know how I feel about that, but I think it's an interesting concept. It's like the Dune novels, really, right?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. There's a lot of things like this.
Yeah.
But at any rate, it is they're kickstarting the relaunch of the original first edition. They're gonna like basically just it's a straight reprint, as it were, of the original one, exactly as it was. They're going to add a bunch of stuff to it of like old unreleased art and files and stuff like that,
Cool.
you know, just like for some additional information. But it is the original first edition game. They're going to kickstart it back out there and make it reavailable for its 40th year anniversary, because this is obviously it's Chaosium that's doing it. They're the ones who this was their game, and obviously this is their 50th anniversary and also the 40th anniversary of Pendragon this year.
Cool.
So, it's cool.
Timely. All right.
Absolutely. And then finally, my last little bit of news, Catalyst Game Labs is releasing an expansion book called Risks and Rewards for Shadowrun. Now, John, have you ever played Shadowrun?
I have played Shadowrun. I've also played a hacker at Shadowrun, which is not really playing Shadowrun with anybody else. Yes.
Correct. Yes. Classically, Shadowrun is a game where you all sit together at the table and then play your own game.
Yeah.
Right. But at any rate, one of my like favorite games I've ever played, one of my favorite characters ever had was actually a Shadowrun character, but that was because the GM is was the most gifted GM I've ever played with. Like, I have never met a better GM in my life.
Wow. You need to be good to run Shadowrun too. It will test you hard for a game running system. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this new Shadowrun game, what caught my attention about this little piece of news, one is that I like Shadowrun in general. I think it's a funny world.
Yeah.
Classic science fantasy, cyberpunk stuff. Like, it's a wonderful kitchen sink, weird mix up thing,
right?
Which I always like. But this is set in Cairo, which I was like, wow, I have never, all the time of playing Shadowrun, I never once thought, what is going on in Egypt? It never crossed my mind.
Right? I just assume there's like graffiti and neon signs hanging off the Sphinx or some shit.
I mean, that's kind of what the art that for this portrays, by the by. You're not that wrong.
I was joking, but it's real. Oh, hilarious.
Okay. You're very much in the space. Okay, so I was like, okay, that's an interesting angle. Like, I've never thought about, obviously, because it's a game with both like the cyberpunk technology, but also magic and that kind of stuff going on. It's bringing together like, oh, it's the weird old magic of ancient Egypt and then, you know, new technology and stuff like that. So that's fine. I like crossovers between, I love magic tech kind of stuff. So
yeah, I dig it. There's a lot of fun stuff actually. And I hate to bring this in, but like all the interesting historical theories and conspiracies and everything about that region of the world, and then you can take your own spin or collection of spins on that and put it in this fantastical setting with this wild street samurai, you know, minivan loaded to the nines with Uzis kind of a world. And I mean, sounds like a good time to me.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens,
right? Yeah, somebody seeded this planet with our intelligence.
That's right.
I'm just saying they left some obvious signs. All right, Vince, let's talk about pets, mounts, and fuzzy little friends.
That's right.
What's the catalyst for this? Why do we think this is worthy of an entire episode?
Yeah, well, I think this is really important, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think pets in general rule. Like, right? I have 2 dogs. We have a 3rd dog in the house right now. That's what it's. We have my in-laws' dog right now.
Random dog. I don't know where it came from.
This is a random dog showed up. That's kind of what happened. My in-laws like literally showed up, dropped the dog off, and were gone in 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, thanks, bye. It's a very sweet dog. But at any rate, like, Obviously, I love my dogs. I love my pets. They're very meaningful to me. I think all of us, you obviously have 2 pets. One of them is sitting there snoring next to you, which we can all hear once in a while. But you also have cat and stuff like that.
2 cats. Yes, 2 cats.
Yes. And like in general, throughout my life, pets have been a pretty important part of it. I think that's true for most of us, right? Like we have great emotional attachments and memories of various and sundry pets we've had.
Yeah. And I think, tell me if, Gazebo, tell me if I'm wrong in this. For most of us, if we meet a stranger on the street or we meet a strange dog being walked on the street, which one of those give us a more positive response? It's the dog.
I don't randomly walk up to a stranger on the street and go, "You're so good.
Yeah.
You're so cute."
Yeah.
And then start petting their head. Yeah, I don't generally do that.
No. Right. I see animals, they make me smile. And I think that's
right.
a big part of this is, and one of the key factors for me to jump ahead just a little bit is, I think for the average player at our table or the average human in our real world, it's easier to make a connection with an animal than it is with a person. And that's true of the NPCs in your game. If you want to just break that barrier and make it so easy to have your players have an emotional connection or an even emotional response to a situation or a being in the world, just throw an animal in there. It'll go better,
100%.
Yeah. And so, especially for newer players or people that are a little bit more close to the chest in how they play, an easy way of not pressuring them or pushing them, but just seeing how they come out of their shell. I found that animals are a real easy way to get them involved in a way that they're comfortable with. So that's why I think this is kind of one of our many starting points as to why this is a fun thing to discuss. So let's now take a step back and define, define what we're talking about, because I think it's a little bit, the breadth is a little bit wider than just your pet dog or your parakeet, right?
Yeah, I think that's how it often manifests. So like the simplest version of this, right, is your classic like druid or ranger or something like that, right? That has like a wolf following them around or something of that nature, right? Effectively, they've got a dog. It's the boy and his dog.
Right.
Right. That is the absolute, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trashing it for being too simple. I'm just saying like that's the very simple, normal implementation of this thing. In lots of role playing going all the way back, there was the conception that some group of people, because they were either close to nature or whatever, could have a pet following them around. Right.
Right.
But it's certainly not limited to that.
No.
Like oftentimes, as I said earlier, like squires and followers or henchmen or whatever, like, underlings. I told the story a while back about like my haughty elvish wizard who adopted the little goblin guy. And when he cast his first magic missile, it was like my proud dad moment. Like that's a pet, effectively.
Right. Yeah.
If you're a necromancer, you might have like skeletons or zombies that follow you around. And by the way, that sometimes that gets treated as just like chaff and you don't care and you just throw them away and like walk them into traps and stuff. Certainly. Sometimes that's how it is, but not always.
No.
Right. Sometimes you might like you can play a necromancer who like takes very good care of his undead. In my current game right now, there is a necromancer and he has a pet bat, like an undead bat. Okay. And he loves that thing. When it gets injured or whatever, he gets scared. Like he pulls it away so it can't be killed. He would never just like send it into a trap to spring it. That would be anathema.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that one thing you can do is when we're talking about this is, yes, it is like you could physically have a dog as a pet. However, when you talk about the squire, when you talk about the minions, when we talk about the familiars, those kinds of things,
familiar is another great example.
Even if they're an actual like humanoid or human, like the squire, he's a 13-year-old boy. One thing that I like to do to make those have a bit more connection, and your undead zombie a bit more connection, is to tie them closer to a pet, and that is give them personality traits that are seen in pets and animals. And if you want to look for how this is done all the time in movies and TV shows. Watch any Pixar movie. And
I was going to say the same thing.
Two-thirds of the characters are just animals, but they may not be animals on screen. Good example, Big Hero 6, that big poofy robot, that's just a cute dog, or a cat,
right?
Somewhere in between, right? How to Train Your Dragon, Toothless is a cat. It's just a cat, right? So how we connect and giving traits and playing out at the table, just pretend it's that little squire, that 13-year-old boy that's your squire. Pretend he's a golden retriever and he's just so happy to be here and he's so excited to bring you the sword, and he's like, yeah, go throw the spear, I'll go get it for you. Like
Right.
make them a pet. And then once you have that emotional connection, then you can build the depth of the character later. But at their core, they're just a happy golden retriever that just wants to do whatever you want to do. Like, hey, oh God, well, you've been gone all day, man. Hey, what do we want to do? Let's go. Come on. It's like,
right. Or the cat thing where they're a little more standoffish, but they're like clever and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. Give them the personalities of like animals. And I it's so well stated. Yes. Because people will just naturally attach to that stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's such a powerful tool, but I think it's something that often gets maligned because there's a downside here too, right? Like in my mind, I love pets. Like right now, as I mentioned, one of my characters has this the bat. Another character has a stone horse, like a big stone horse.
Okay.
But they're a paladin, so they're gonna like call their special mount at some point in time. I don't know why they haven't done it yet, but they could have, but they just haven't yet. I'm like, okay, well, tell me when you're ready.
What about this, dude? What about this? The stone horse that he's had this whole time, when he calls it forth, the stone horse starts to crack with white energy and the stone
that's
shatters.
What's gonna happen. And
yes,
that's why I put it in there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We're on the same wavelength because that's a great fucking moment right there.
I put this in there, by the way, levels ago, knowing like in anticipation that the paladin was about to get to the point where they could call their mount. And I assumed that's what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like I assumed, I know they don't watch this, so it's fine. Like I assume what would happen is she would like, I gave the stone horse out. She took it. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Cool. Mm-hmm. Good. Yes. That everything is going according to plan. Like I knew the party would give it to her. Uh-huh. Right. And I was like, okay, then like a level from now, she's going to call her mount. And when she does, the stone horse is going to like transform and become this thing, a gift from her, from the gods or whatever. And then like 3 levels have passed and she's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm ready yet. I was like, okay.
All you're doing is building more of a bond with Rocky here. And little do you know that he is the avatar of your god this entire time, which is another connection that we can make with animals. You sound like you have something else you wanted to add first, though.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Meanwhile, there's a priest in the party who they got attacked by harpies in the woods. Okay.
As happens. Fine. Yeah.
As happens. Mm-hmm. Can't go into the woods without getting attacked by harpies. So they killed the harpies or whatever. And then they searched around for their, like, well, does the harpies have loot? And I was like, well, you can look around. So they look around, they eventually find the nest, and the nest has a bunch of loot in it, but it also had a harpy egg.
Oh, baby. Okay.
And like, none of them are monstrous enough to like kill an egg. Okay. So the priest, who's a good person, was like, I'll take the egg. I'll get to see if I can raise the egg. So now he's got this egg all wrapped up in his backpack, and he takes care of the egg. And I know when it's going to hatch. And every time before the fight, like his first thing before the fight begins is he's like, I take off my backpack and set it down carefully outside the fight so that the egg can't get injured.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's a great, that's a great different segue, but it's a good one of like, we can use not only are they knobs for us to turn as a GM, but it's a really easy thing for us as players to have a connection to do things unique in situations that aren't always the most optimal. And that connection, just like, that's what your character turns to. That's the thing that matters to them. And then once they build those bonds, we now can utilize those things and not just use against the PCs, but like allow them those moments of small victories when that thing hatches and it's a ugly little bald bird naked baby. Like that's gonna be the because we've all seen what birds look like when they're born. They are the ugliest fucking
horrific
things. And imagine just a little goo-covered baby in the top half and a little bird in the bottom with little flappy little. Oh God, you need to hire some art to make that nightmare fuel. right
Yeah.
there. Oh.
So my point is that like, sometimes pets can fall into the more helpless category like that. Sometimes they can fall into the more able category, right? There's a variance here, of course, right?
Yeah. And you can they can grow, and they probably should grow with you, right?
Yes.
It is an
Right.
extension of your character's power and the connection that they have in the game, and it's a good way to show the bonds and the investments that your character makes in the world will yield something fruitful. And here is that. There's no reason why they don't aid you in dire circumstances. They don't show themselves to have some power because of their own bond beyond what you thought they were capable of. Again, back to you as a game master, um, taking control of the animal when the situation dictates, but
Right.
the player also has control. It's a fun little kind of cooperative tug of war system. Right.
Well, I think it's just naturally collaborative, right?
Yes.
Like one of the other upsides here is pets are a naturally collaborative thing because they're like half the PCs and half the GMs. So you've got like shared custody, right?
Right. I only have the weekends, but I'll give
Yeah. And so that in a way, which is a good thing, by the way, this is going to sound like it's a kind of a bad thing when I'm about to phrase it, but I think it's good, is that it forces you to have a collaborative element where you're both working together to tell a good story with that particular part of the game world.
Yes,
right.
that's so important because it's one for seasoned players. It's a reminder that so much of this is a collaboration, and sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees. And for newer players, it establishes that understanding of the memorable, the valuable moments that come out of a session are from those collaborative times, and we're making it real tangible and real kind of entry level. But sometimes even people that have been playing for decades, you need to kind of simplify and get back to basics. And it's such an easy way that we're all of us are going to love to kind of refine those roots. It's such a great way to kind of build up this rapport with your game master, and you find that it's one of my things as when I'm running a game, when these kinds of pet situations happen, that I find myself often when I run a game, you're so focused and invested and juggling mentally so many things that it's hard to take a breath and just enjoy the moment. Players get to enjoy the moment a lot more than the GM does. I think the GM get a lot more the long-term satisfaction on the average. Players enjoy the short-term satisfaction. But these moments sometimes it's just like they're the times that I sit back and I'm just like, oh, this is so fun. Your silly little raptor ran over and jumped in the back of that merchant's caravan, and you just hear all of their livestock in the back going and you're just like, oh shit, and you're sneaking up, and then you try to call it out. Like those are the fun moments to see what unfolds. And I'm not taking over your character to put us in these fun situations, and people are cool with that. So that's great.
And I think so for me personally, I've always been a pet guy. People know this. I love pets. My characters have often had soft spots for pets, and stuff like that. Like when I played when we did our Dragon Heist game, and I was playing my rogue sort of Red, my little grung crime boss, right? Red just attracted pets. Okay. Like I had a little awakened shrub that rode around with me and that I talked to all the time. I had a pair of dogs that I had gotten out of out of a robe of useful items. Because one of the things you can rip off a robe of useful items is like 2 mastiffs. And I was like, okay, these are my dogs now. So they guarded our house, and the GM ended up killing them when somebody came and attacked our house. So then I went and paid to have them animated, and then I kept them as zombie dogs.
No price is too steep.
Absolutely. No expense is spared. I had like these at one point in time. We were dealing with these like weird Durger because it's a bunch of like the whole game went back and forth between Waterdeep and Skullport, obviously. And so there's like, all the criminal element down there. And there was the Durger had some, I don't remember how this came about, but like I ended up getting a couple of these horrendous flies. Like they're giant bugs I mean, they're like 4 feet
Oh.
big with like big giant proboscis. He showed us a picture of it and like genuinely horrifying. Okay, this giant bug. But in my character's mind, I'm like, that thing is adorable. It's so cute.
It's like a koala
Because
bear to him.
yeah, correct. So like this will be a weird tangent, but it's relevant. So in All-Star Superman, okay, one of my favorite Superman stories of all time. In the Fortress of Solitude, Superman has a Sun Eater, which is this horrible galactic tentacle monster that eats suns.
Oh.
Okay. But it's a baby. And he's like taking care of it because he found it when he was out in space and it had lost its parent. And so he didn't want it to die. So even though it's some like it's sort of almost like a Cthulhuoid type monster, right? Is really what we're talking about here, but it's a baby version of it. Yeah. It destroys whole solar systems because it eats their sun and they all die, right? So it's this horrible monster. But to Superman, it's not scary. It's just a baby. It poses him no threat. Right. It's just something that needed help. So we helped it. That was it. Right. And so to my character, it's the same thing. Like these flies, they look horrible and they're scary looking, but they don't actually pose my character any real threat. Right. And they needed a home. So I was like, yeah, my character would love to adopt those things. So I just had these like 3 horrendous fly monsters, like that I kept in my, they stayed in my, my like Skullport home because people didn't want those getting out in Waterdeep. Oh. But anyways, I've back and on and on. Like I've always had a love for pets because they add so much color to the character. They give you a shared place. They give you something to care about. Everything we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
I think this leads directly to the downside though, and why GMs often steer away from them.
Yeah.
Which is when they're useful in combat.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with any kind of action economy.
Those are the triggering words I was waiting to hear. The 2 words. Yeah.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, pets become problematic. Right. Because theoretically, they're adding a bunch of action economy. Right. Now, in video games, I always played pet classes as well, by the by. Like if there was a pet class in a video game, I was there for that. But generally, those pet classes in like a lot of MMOs suck.
Right.
Because if your pet dies, you're terrible. They just purposely make it so like there's this much character power.
Yes.
And if you're playing a normal character, you get all of it.
Yes.
If you're playing a pet class, you each get this much of it.
Yes.
Or something, right? The bar gets split in 2. So when your pet dies, as inevitably happens, suddenly you suck.
Right. That's why you started running right before it died. So you have a room to escape.
Right. Well, or you're in some boss fight and they're like, everybody dismiss your pets. You can't have your pets out. It'll send like if you ever did like raids and stuff like that in these MMOs, it's just like you couldn't have your pets out.
Yeah. If they're
so hence your class was not very in demand on raids.
Yeah, they're pathing and they're the ability to get aggro or just run off random. Yeah, a lot of it's in the coding of the games. It was rough back in the old ages of MMOs for sure.
Right. And I'm not interested in splitting my character's power with the dog.
No.
Okay. Right. And so the challenge always becomes like, if I give you this pet or these pets or these things, theoretically, I'm improving your action economy and making you more powerful. Right. Now, my answer to that has always been, I don't care as long as it's within reason.
Sure.
All right. Like there's some place where it breaks down. And I think that place was the 3rd edition Necromancer I described playing, where I had like an entire undead party.
Yeah.
Literally an entire party. I had 6 people following me around. Okay.
Of different classes, no less.
Of different classes. Full, complete classes. Basically my level. Right.
Yeah. I think more modern systems tend to hold it a little bit tighter to the chest, learning from the errors of the past. However, you are right. One thing that I like to do is, this is like in all things, this should start from a conversation, and you can get the 2 mastiffs that come out of the cloak. You can make them your bestest friends, and that's great. If you want them to be more than a helpful out of combat thing, typically what I do is I ask you I ask you the simple question: what are you doing? What is your character investing in order to make that a possibility? And just like this real world, you're limited to the amount of time you have. Your character
Sure.
has in their downtime in a given day, and if they're spending that training with their animals and making sure that they listen, making sure that they understand commands and all that, they're giving up something. They're not training or researching or whatever. And if that's what you want, that's okay. But I want you to know that it's an investment. I will reward any investment any character puts into what they find valuable for them in their growth. But not with all out the flip side of that same coin. So that I'm perfectly okay with as well, but they need to understand that. And typically when you have that conversation and they see that, they'll choose what level investment they want to make. And there's always the scary part, which you don't really have with things like your necromancer situation, and that is, what if he kills my dog?
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You put him out there into the fight, like, that's gonna happen.
100%. So like, and so modern games have gone a couple different directions in trying to solve this problem. And like, surprise, surprise, Vince, the very grognardy one, thinks they've gone the wrong direction. Because to me, pets for the most part are the equivalent of a magic item.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think
right?
so. I think
like
it's a very fun.
This character over here gets a cool magical item that makes them more effective.
Yep.
Right. They now get, like, with their given actions, they're going to do more, bigger, stronger, faster, better, whatever.
Yep.
Okay. You instead get this pet. Most pets, let's be honest, that you're going to get in games, especially if the just aren't that impressive.
No.
Right. Like if you're a necromancer and you got like 6 skeletons following you around, yeah, sure, you get 6 more attack actions in a game. Like that's true. But what are 6 skeletons going to do when you're fighting like a glabber zoo?
They're going to turn to dust.
They're going to do nothing.
Speed bump.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So like they're very naturally limited. You mentioned the training thing. So Red, that previous character, I left out one pet knowing that you would go this direction. The other pet that I had was a basilisk. I found a young baby basilisk. Okay.
All right.
Who was adorable, and I loved him, and I would die for him. And so, but like the GM was like, this is a basilisk, right? It wants to turn people to stone and eat them. I was like, yeah. Okay.
All right. I'm aware of the situation.
Right. So like, I understand how this works. And he's like, okay, well, you can adopt it, but you're going to have to spend time. Like, it's a wild animal, right? It's a beast. It's not going to just behave or like follow your commands. I was like, yeah, I understand the journey we're on. That's what I'm asking you to do.
That's what I'm here for.
And so like, yeah, that was the whole thing, right? I had to spend a lot of time invested into this basilisk baby as he grew up over the course of the campaign to like get him to like not turn everybody he looked at to stone and make sure like he could do his thing on command and stuff like that, that he would listen. Right. And sometimes he still got a little wild, and that's fine. You know, you just gotta, don't worry about that. It's cool. We'll handle it. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it is not a dog or a cat that's been bred for thousands of years to be a domesticated animal. It will never be, a Labrador. And that's correct. Fun. That's fun. Like you come back to the room after your adventure, and he's got like the innkeeper half swallowed on stone, like in the room. You're like, oh shit, this is
right.
We gotta kind of get out of here tonight, I think. Like,
yeah, I was like, his name was Starry, by the way. But at any rate, my point is that like, yes, it allows for those fun situations. And my honest answer is, I like it when pets can die, to go back to your point. Okay. What I don't like is the modern trend of like, you get a pet, it represents some amount of your class power has been moved out of your column into it.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's assuming like MMO style that you like, we've taken some from you and put it over here. I don't like that. But to compensate you for that fact, you can just bring the thing back.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole
your dog died. You sit down and pray about it for a minute, and the dog's like, I'm back. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the familiar thing. Like all familiars now, I'm just like, oh, really? Tomorrow morning? Oh, I got a dove on my illusionist, and his name is Kevin, and I'm never letting Kevin die. I assume that's a clone of Kevin. That's not real Kevin. Kevin is.
Right.
I don't ever want Kevin to get hurt. Like,
Sure.
but like, yeah, that you're exactly right. Like, it's like, well, we don't. It's Kid Gloves edition. Let's be honest.
It's Kid Gloves.
Yeah,
yes.
and we don't want. It's such a fine line to walk in that we don't want to tear your heart out and make you feel like you're completely like downtrodden and your character is worse now forever because of these things. But also, the stories don't have the gripping, sticks
They don't have the
with you
same
nature.
emotion, same meaning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they don't have some level of finality to them,
Yeah.
and that's rough. And sometimes even just that emotional pull of the what if is more than enough. It doesn't need to happen. It needs to be the reality that it could happen, that affects your decision making and how you approach interacting with the world. And it's like a trickle down into so many things. And again, back to something I said earlier, it opens up how your character can interact with the world, thinking about how they think and how they choose to approach situations in a very easy to kind of digest manner. And then that evolves how you play your character. I think pets and animals are a great onboarding ramp for you to really kind of become invested in your character. And so,
yes.
But if
you can just resummon them back,
yeah,
okay, then it's not a pet.
no,
It's not a real living thing in the world. It's a tool.
yeah, it's a spell or ability. It's all it is.
Correct.
It could just be called fireball.
Yes. If I throw a dagger and lose it, right? Like, oh darn, I lost a dagger. That sucks. Oh well, I can go buy another one. Right? Yep. That's a tool in the world. If your pet can just be brought back, then it becomes a tool. That's where I see people treating it like, oh, we think there's a trap in this hallway. Oh, just send the familiar or the pet forward. Yeah. If it dies, who cares? I can just resummon him.
That just feels bad. Even players around the table, you're just like, this doesn't feel like this should, like, it takes away so much of the threat and the ominous nature of danger in the game too, when a disposable resource that's basically a character that can't be hurt by just sending them in there feels weird.
And like, I understand why that's like that. What they're trying to guard against is effectively bad GMs.
Sure.
Right. And like, I know a lot of times when I talk, and some of the gazeboids have, like, I think have the perception that I don't like know that bad GMs exist. Okay. Because I do tend to talk about things kind of optimally, if you will. Right. But that's because I just believe you can't, in trying to write rules that compensate for bad GMs, like actual GMs who are acting in bad faith.
Right.
Not people who aren't as experienced. Right. Because that you can train around. You can put in the game. I can put in there in text, hey, you shouldn't just off people's pets for no reason. Okay.
Right.
Like, that's not cool. Don't do that. That's very mean. If you want people to have a real emotional connection to these things, to NPCs, to PCs, like, I can put that in a game master's guide. Right. And so inexperienced people will read that and go, okay, I understand. Cool. Got it. Right.
Yep.
Whereas, like, for the same reason, like when I'm playing Magic, I don't just immediately ace people's commanders.
Yeah. Don't be that guy.
Right. I'm like, okay, well, you build a deck. I'd like to see what it's going to do. I may stop you later. I may kill the guy later if it becomes a problem, but I'm not just dumpstering your fun right now. Right. Because that's cruel.
Or I may die because I didn't do it, but it's just a game and we can re-rack,
Correct. And like, here it's the same principle. Like, when there's a bad GM, I'm not willing to make the rest of the game worse to compensate for the presence of bad actors in the environment. That's what it comes down to. Okay. Like, a bad GM who can't screw you on your pet will just screw you some other way.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you do have your pet die, they'll be like, oh, well, you can't bring him back right now because of dumb reason that I just thought of, or whatever. Or they'll do something else bad to you. They'll say you can't do this or you can't do that. It's all no's. Like, bad GMs are bad GMs are bad GMs.
Right.
And if you keep trying to box them out through rules and rules and rules, you just make the play experience and the play field more limited.
Yeah. That is, I mean, it probably is if I were to say the most difficult part or the most stressful or frustrating part of the whole thing is that in an attempt to try to create the rule systems that box out those GMs, we simply have to make the game less to the core of what makes it amazing.
Right.
We have to the infinite amount of possibilities, the full freedom of creativity, the spontaneous decision making, and the world reacts in a way that no other medium that we know of is capable of.
Right.
If we play, if we're so focused on boxing in the rules for that, then that magic dissipates. It's lesser of what it could be. And I totally get that. All of us have played with rough DMs, frustrating DMs. And the last thing I want to do is have the stress of my poor doggo by my side and never want him to leave me because he's going to get murdered by the GM. But I think there's a greater conversation that needs to happen in those moments of either I'm going to find a different group, we're going to have a different GM, or you set them up for success. What I always like to do is set my GM up for success, offer enough opportunities for them to what I would quote unquote do the right thing. And I don't mean that in like just be kids' gloves to us and be nice to us or whatever, but just not be an asshole that is against us in the game. And then when those moments inevitably happen, try to have an adult conversation and say, here's how it played out from our perspective. Here's how we felt. Here's how it frustrates us. Can you see that? Can you share your thought process, how you got there? None of us is perfect. I make mistakes every single session I game master. It's all about us growing and improving together. And if you can have enough of those conversations, things tend to turn in the right direction. And if they don't, that's the universe telling you, you got to leave. You got to not play that game anymore,
Absolutely. I listened to an awesome interview with like a crisis negotiator. This is going to connect. Okay. This is like somebody who negotiates with like people who hold hostages, terrorists, stuff like that. Like this person's been like, it's crazy their career listening to what they've had to deal with. And his statement was about 93% of people you can have a reasonable negotiation and discussion with, where you can come to a consensus understanding. Okay. 7% of people are just unreachable. Okay. In his, in like sort of in the field, that's how they view it. If you find the 7 out of 100, if that's who you're talking to or dealing with, you're in trouble. My answer is it's probably the same for a lot of quote unquote bad GMs.
Yeah.
Right. If if you can have those meaningful conversations, the vast majority can be put on the right path and grow and change and become better. If you happen to be, if your GM happens to be in the 7%, the right answer is not keep negotiating. The right answer is leave.
Yes.
That's what it is. But just to go back to this real quick, when we talk about limiting the play space, it's not just in what can be recognized in the story, but it's also in like what concepts can be explored too. Right. Because there are certain sort of fantasy, historical concept, whatever fantasy. Historical, I mean like in the tropes of fantasy, not in the real world history.
Okay.
That like require pets. Right? Okay. So like there's aerial knights, like Pegasus knights and stuff like that. Like there are kingdoms that are guarded by, Pegasus knights and things like that. Necromancers, we mentioned it already, but like the whole concept there is I have a bunch of undead that serve me.
Yeah. The Cavalier.
Right? Yes. The Cavalier, like I have a beautiful, awesome, amazing mount that is there and with me all the time and is like, really there. Like Beastmaster. Remember Beastmaster? You remember that movie?
And little ferrets.
Kodo and Podo and the gang. Yeah. Right. Like, and so on, right? There's a bunch of these types of things where like the pet was just as emblematic of the concept, right? It was part of it. And if you shut off the ability to like have these varied pets in some way, in some meaningful way, where they're not necessarily like they're a part of what the character is. That doesn't mean they get used every adventure, every moment. The Pegasus probably doesn't come into the deep dungeon with you.
No, probably not.
Right? So the character better still be whole with or without their Pegasus.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's my point, right? Like I want a whole character, but also you can have a friend or a couple friends, and those friends have whatever natural limitations they have, right? And that's okay.
Yeah. They're fun, different ways to approach situations in a unique perspective. They're just an interesting, they're a tool with personality that you're much more connected to than you are that dagger that you can toss. And it's such a good way to look at it, that instead of it being something that is strictly a detriment that the GM can use against you, or that they are, like you said, a part of the power you have. And come back to conversations on that too. It's like, okay, I know when we go in the dungeon, we're going to go on down into the dungeon, and you love riding
Sure.
around your Pegasus, and it gives you all these different interesting opportunities and abilities and that kind of stuff. We go down in there. He can't be in there. That's
Right.
just the nature of the thing. However, let's find ways to pull in some interesting maybe aspects of what that Pegasus does for you into your character for this moment, right? And then those will recede into the background when you're reunited with your steed. I remember having to do this way back in second edition, the Cavalier in our group, going down to a dungeon. We did one session, and he's like, "I am a terrible warrior," right? Just like okay, well, even like my 14-year-old mind is like, "You're right. That's not good. Let's figure it out." And before you get so frustrated, you don't want to play anymore. Because you're kids, there's only so many nerds in your school that you can actually play D&D with. And he was like, you got to hold on to those and make sure that
Oh yeah,
everybody,
precious.
yeah, everyone's opinion and feelings matter in this, and we're all doing this to have fun. So I don't want to just hose you every week that we get together and play. So let's find a resolution that everybody's happy with as best you can. So
I think this is especially true when we step outside of like combat applications, because to me that's always been the like the action economy thing, blah 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 blah, like whatever, I don't care, just keep it reined in, you know what I mean? Like if I had a PC that had got some pets and it got out of control as to what they could do in combat, I would literally just pull the PC aside and have a conversation with them and say, like, this is a problem, it's unbalancing the table, it's making other people feel bad because you're taking too long on your turn, or whatever the manifestation is. And I'm sure, like, that's it. I just have a conversation, like how we solve all problems, right? But outside of combat pets is where it gets way more interesting. Let me give you a simple example here, John. Okay. What's more compelling? Okay. So I'm going to give you two things that are going to manifest in exactly the same functionality.
Okay.
Okay. Option one, you have a tiny wand. Like you have a wand. Okay. It's like a little wand, and you can click a button on it and it produces the spell Arcane Eye that can then go up and zip around and scout stuff. And you can, and you can go see through it and see what is happening. Okay. There's option one. This is an existing type of spell and function. It's just you get a magic item that does that thing.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Option two, you have a cool bird pet, right? Named Beaky, that you can send up and scout around, and you can like look through its eyes and see what it sees. Okay. Which one is better?
Oh, yeah. It's Beaky every day.
Every day and twice on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course you want Beaky. That's way more interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so when you go out of combat, like pets that can scout or watch or guard your back or watch you when you sleep or stuff like that, you know what I mean? That, I think GMs who steer away from that stuff, like, what are you doing? Like, that's just interesting. It's just a magic item at that point, but it's a magic item with personality and a name that the PCs care about.
Yeah.
What?
That is exactly like it's so many, again, because when the I keep calling it Eye of Zom, because Eye of Zom is the name of that spell in classic EverQuest. Some of the Gazebo boys are going to catch that deep cut, but when you cast the Eye, you don't get the cooperative storytelling opportunity as the GM, right? The player has full control. It is not even a being, and it's just like casting a spell. But with Beaky, Beaky comes back, and Beaky's got a ring in his mouth, and and you're like, and you hear, from the second floor, a rich lady going, that it flew in and it stole my whatever, and she sticks her head out the window. Like, it's storytelling opportunities. If you want the party to get the heck out of there. They're wasting too much time. You want the party to get on the right track of the mission that they're doing. If you want them exposed to an NPC that they're not gotten around to going to, you have this tool that allows you to do that. Use Beaky. Beaky is a great opportunity. I love when my players have those things, when they have those the pets and the familiars and all that, because I get to just I get to take the wheel for just enough of a moment, and it doesn't feel like I pushed it and I pressured it and I railroaded them, right? You don't want to railroad your players, and pets are a great way to do that. I think this was one more thing that I wanted to talk about on this, and that is
sure. I've got one more as well.
Okay.
So we'll both do our one more thing and then we'll close it out.
My last one is the pets, the animals, the cute fuzzies in whatever shape and size they come in that aren't owned by the players.
Okay.
Let me tell you this, Vince. This guy is slightly suspect. He's got an eye patch. He's got a cane. He's got a bit of a snarl to him. He's got a scar down one side of his face. And you see him in the pub, and you're like, that dude is not really... He's suspicious. We don't trust him. We're looking for the head of the underground rogues guild here. Murders. He just murders all sorts of people. Okay. And then you go over there, take a close... Bad guy. Certainly bad guy. And then out from under the table, he whistles and he picks up a teacup chihuahua, and he shares his
I love
dinner
this so much
with the teacup chihuahua. Now they don't know what the fuck to do. There's no way this guy can be the bad guy. Right?
Yes.
You add animals in the world to keep their players off balance. You keep them engaged. Oh my God, yes. You keep them like, that's a whole nother character, right? It's Mr. Bigglesworth, okay? Like, it's so much fun to add them and to add them to storytelling, because sometimes your players just do not interact with the NPCs you need them to interact with, but you're damn sure that they're going to find this gnarly looking one-eared alley cat in the alley, and they're going to spend a half an hour talking to the alley cat and finding some fish bones for the alley cat. Like, boom, the animals in your world that you have control over can be great tools, and there's so many fun ways you can use them in that regard. And I just wanted to throw that out there. One thing that I've liked to do is I've liked to use the most inconspicuous weird animals as avatars of like world breaking deities. But they're like,
sure, yeah, they show up in just like a bird. I mean, that's like Odin was ravens, right? Like he watched through the eyes of ravens. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. No, but he's like just a chubby little toad. You're just like,
sure.
It's just like,
I mean, if Zeus can be a swan, I mean, he can be a chubby little toad too. Yeah,
exactly. So it's just don't think of fun ways. You like, it's always better to add more animals to your world. Why don't you add an animal or two to your world? Because the players are always suckers for chubby little toads.
I love that so much, and that's so good. Like we talked about NPCs last episode, right? And one of the quickest ways you can give an NPC depth and get people attached to it, we didn't mention this in the show, but we should have, was somebody in the comments, by the way, mentioned like alien traits, which I really like. So not like alien, like I'm not saying it's aliens, but aliens, which I do think was a good one we didn't explore enough. That might be worth a future conversation. Like the idea of making them just like talk in weird ways or just think completely orthogonally to how humans think, right? Or act. But anyways, the other great way to get people to attach to them is to have them interact with pets and animals in some way.
Right.
Exactly what you mentioned, right? If they're nice to a dog, the PCs are going to soften on them.
Yep.
If they kick or injure a dog or a cat or something like that, they must be destroyed. Yeah. Like they are a villain. That's the kick the dog moment, right? Like that's why. So did you watch the first season of Fallout?
Yes.
Okay. So the ghoul, right? In the beginning, he hurts the dog, but then it ends up coming back and he like fixes the dog. And that was because that's his redemptive arc. From the time he fixes that dog and gets it back, and that dog's now following him around, you're like, all right, this guy's a horrible monster, but I love him.
I'm on board with whatever he's doing now. Yeah.
Right. Because he helped the dog.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. He got dog meat back on. And that is like, how in 3 episodes can we make this guy feel like the most utter monster? He's literally a ghoul. To being a character that is redeemable and that you look upon fondly. And it was just wrapping up the dog's hurt paw. That's all it was.
That's right.
That's all it took. Yep.
And so like you can just do an amazing amount, because how like we as humans are pretty naturally tuned in to like how you treat something that is very weak, right? And that doesn't have a lot of autonomy, where you have a lot of power over it.
Yeah.
Right. So like pets,
Right.
says a lot about your character.
Right.
Right. We're very naturally attuned to that as we walk around in the world. And so when you bring that into your game, and pets are the ultimate expression of that, right? If you see somebody abusing their underlings or their animals or whatever, like the weaker the thing is compared to the person, and the more they're being like that, the abuse is happening, then boom, instantly you've set the moral framework for that thing, right?
Yep.
More than like you could have them like bomb a city, just like throw a fireball into a crowd. It would not be as impactful as if they just turned in magic missile the dog.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Both of which for no good reason, just because they felt like it. One of those has a much higher emotional response than the other. Because let's be honest, your PCs are at any point about 30 seconds away from doing the former.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just tossing a fireball into a crowd. Well, we had to do it. But if there was a dog in that crowd, there is no way that fireball is going in. No way.
Yeah. That's a meme. That needs to be a shirt, that we need to have that shirt and be like, okay, I'm not going to do it. There's a dog in the crowd. So
yeah. Fireball gazebo, unless there's a dog in the gazebo, then do not.
No. Okay. That was a close one. I didn't see him behind that shrub over there.
Absolutely. The other thing I'll say, and this is just like one of my final sort of nitpicky notes, which is there's sort of also this thing. I don't like it when animals or whatever pets in the world are just like a random stat block, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like this is also a trend where like classes just have like a random stat block, and it's like, this is your manifestation of thing, and you can make it whatever you want. If it's like some kind of avatar of something, or like a magical spirit pet or whatever, which is also fine and cool, like that's neat. If you have like the ghost of a thing following you around or something, like I don't care about that. That can be whatever. But like if you have a bear is in the book.
Yeah.
I want to open the book and see bear, and that's what I should have. I should have bear. Right. Now, my bear, if I train it and work with it or have some great skill with training, might be like a better bear.
Yeah, he's circus bear.
Right? He might be like, he might know more tricks, do more things, do a little more damage, have some more health or whatever, like be a little tougher. Yeah, okay, fine, great. Like, because that represents me being a good pet owner.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't like it when they're just like a disconnected series of weirdo, just unattached stat blocks. Like there's a bear in the world, and I'm following a bear is following me around, and these two stat blocks, the one that's in the monster manual or whatever, and the one that's with me, nothing.
Yeah, they don't.
Nothing to do with each other. Yeah. Completely unconnected. Then I am not being followed by a bear. I am being followed by a weird number monster.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so much harder to build that connection, to have that personality, and to have that become a living, breathing, interesting thing in the world. And it seems like that's more and more like that they're doing that. I found that surprisingly amount.
Because it's easy to balance.
Yeah. It can be a this, or this. And then they say like, it is actually just a manifestation of your arcane energies into a physical form. And I'm like, yawn. That's I fell asleep just reading that paragraph. I won't want to have that.
No one cares.
I want Jiggles. No one cares. He's just a happy. He's a happy.
Yeah, I want Jiggles
bear.
a bear.
You're right.
Exactly. I think that like it's funny too, because during the like whatever it's called, whatever the D&D playtest was, whatever they actually ended up calling that, like D&D Next, or I don't know, whatever the heck it was called, right? I mean, it was just a playtest leading up to D&D 2024. At one point in time, they put out a version of, I think, like the Druid, where your pet or something, or like your animal form, I don't remember what, I think it was your animal form, was just like a weird collection of stat blocks. Okay. Like you could take like water form or land form or air form, and they all just had like abilities, but they were just like completely unconnected nonsense you were supposed to reflavor. And what was fascinating about that was like it broke like exactly almost down the middle. With like half the people saying, yes, this is what we always wanted, this horribly simplified, abstracted system. Not for me, but they loved it. And then the other half were like, ooh, get it away from me, anathema. Like if I turn into a bear, I want to be a bear. And so I think that's representational of that, right? Like obviously I think it was their personal stats, not the actual bear following you, but nonetheless, same principle.
Right.
So anyways, my summary on all this would be, to me, what makes pets interesting and valuable and so on is that they are another thing in the world, right? That your character has a naturally very close relationship to. And they provide that collaborative opportunity for you to tell a story with the GM about an attachment that you otherwise wouldn't have. And that is very powerful. But for that to be meaningful, there has to be the same way that your character could die.
Right.
That could happen. Hopefully the GM's not killing you for no reason. It should also be the case that the GM isn't killing your pets for no reason. Right. It should be that, like, if that thing is real, then it's real. And it exists in the world, and I care about it, and its life matters, and I will make choices accordingly and become more emotionally attached to it. If it's not, it's not. And it's just a section of it's just a game piece. It's just an element that's there for me to like utilize the same as my sword or shield or whatever.
Yeah, it's not just a tool. It's Jiggles the circus bear. And you can't.
That's right.
You can't be mean to Jiggles the circus bear. Listen, your GM needs to know that they can kill Jiggles. If they choose to kill Jiggles, you are going to burn this whole motherfucker to the ground. And this game is going to end tonight, either with the big bad being dead or me being dead. Because you don't fuck with me. That's correct. Because that is it. There is no quicker
like John
way.
Wick. I will go on a roaring rampage of revenge. Okay.
Right? Hey, you wanted me to be
kill that dog. I'm killing your entire organization.
Every one of you and your neighbors and your mailman and everything you hold dear. I am going to my basement with a pickaxe out of the cement. I'm getting every possible weapon that I knew I would never need again because you killed my dog. And that's how we're going to end it today. Let us know, Gazeboids, do you use pets? Do you like pets? Is there anything about animals in your games that we didn't cover that you think are important, or maybe even a fun story about the bestest of boys, or little puppers, or little kitties, or goldfish, or Jiggles the circus bear in your games? We want to hear from you. We always learn from that, and we read every comment. We appreciate you so much. And we are going to be back before you know it with another episode. Thanks for joining us for the best part of D&D, pets.